Move over, kids. It's time for the Saturday podcast. We got ourselves special guests today. While they're here every week, you guys are just special. You guys are just so special to me. William
Aw, gee.
and David, how are you? How was your trip to Mexico, David? Did you find any holy grails in Mexico?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
no.
Well, boo. Yeah, you said your cousin one time found Cronkers for $10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and amongst other things, clay fighters.
Yep. Oh, Clay Fighters. Yes, that's what it was. The big Clay Fighters from N64 Blockbuster exclusive. Yes, Blockbuster guys. It's a physical Netflix, and they used to have their own exclusives all the way up to the Xbox. Actually, I remember Xbox had like some kind of Blockbuster exclusive that was for a golfing game. I'm not 100% sure, but
They
all
had
that.
Maximo. They had Maximo available for limited time only through them before it came to stores.
Nice, a timed limited release. Blockbuster ahead of their times, behind the times. I bet right now they'd
I gotta
probably
go
do
grab
good.
something real quick.
I bet if Blockbuster was still around, they would probably be doing pretty good right now, based upon they have all these old movies that you can't really access because nostalgia, nostalgia starts to play a part again. You know what I mean? It seems like Netflix and Hulu, they're all about TV shows, and I bet if you just could have movies, whatever. We're here about video games. David, tell me you weren't here last week, and you're our Smash Brothers expert. Tell us what did you think about the Nintendo Direct reveal of the fourth character?
It was perfect. The way they introduced them with the graphics that are native to probably SNK Neo Geo hardware was cheeky. It was perfect. You know.
Yeah, I kept saying, "Oh, it was that guy, oh, that guy," and then finally it was Terry.
Yeah.
I'm not huge SNK, so I didn't really like, I wasn't fully aware of. I mean, I knew who Terry was because of leaks and stuff, but I'm not like really big into SNK. I don't even know what SNK stands for. Saturday Night
I can't
Knife.
remember. I know it means something. I just can't remember at the moment.
Yeah. Following up to the leaks, I actually looked up the intros because of my suggested videos. I already had suggested videos for SNK games because I looked at Neo Geo cabinets and for years now since I started collecting. And one of them was the King of Fighters '94 intro where Kyo grabs the envelope. Um, and and I read the comments and they're like, man, if King of Fighters ever makes it into Smash, they will recreate this trailer, and they did. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Do you think Terry, someone like myself who has been part of, I've pretty much, I'm not like this. If I'm bragging, it's a weird brag. Yeah, okay, weird flex, dude. I grew up basically as video games grew up. You know what I mean? My first system, Atari. William, you're probably kind of like, you're definitely like me, even more so. Your first system, what, Commodore 64, a television?
The Intellivision, yeah.
Television. So we progressed, you know, we remember Friday the 13th on the NES and what Jason looked like in 8-bit to what Jason looks like now on the Switch and PS4. It's crazy. I don't really know who Terry is. Do you think why does Terry deserve a spot? Someone like myself who, like I said, I know a lot about gaming even if I don't play the games. So but I know almost nothing about Terry. Why does Terry deserve a spot? Sell me on Terry, DJ Castillo.
Well, he's the poster boy of SNK. Even though Kyo is the protagonist of King of Fighters, someone who looks semi-similar to Ryu, Terry has been the poster child just because he's the Japanese. He's the stereotype that the Japanese developers created on how they envision American lifestyle. So as you notice, he wears Converse and jeans and like a trucker hat and like cut off sleeves. And for a
That's
moment of
awesome.
time, you if you went back in time to the 1980 19 yeah the 80s, you would probably see someone very familiar, long ponytail with jeans and cut off sleeves and whatnot. And
He probably, like, if this was still the 80s, he'd probably be like chewing tobacco, have some chew. If this is the stereotype the Japanese have of us,
or some big league chew.
right?
right. And
Not to get political, but his hat should say "Make America Great Again," and this is how the Japanese view us. Just
yeah, yeah, and I mean it was just, even if you watch action movies from the 80s, I'm pretty sure you would see Kurt Russell in something very reminiscent of what Terry does or looks like. So
so.
it's just that he's just the poster child. I mean, you could argue that Chun-Li is also the poster child of Street Fighter, but Ryu is just, he's just the iconic character. So it just seemed there was actually four runner-ups, I think, that fans were speculating that would be the SNK rep, like Nakaruru, who's a little girl with the hawk that she like holsters on her forearm. You've got Geese Howard, but Geese Howard is already an entrant in Tekken 7, and you have Yori, who's kind of like the Ken to, I would maybe the Ken to Ryu as it is to Terry. He's the one that was kind of like laughing, sobbing when he missed the invitation. There's Rock Howard, who's Geese Howard's son. There's so many protagonists. There was even, Metal Slug. I know around this time last year.
I was thinking Metal Slug. I was surprised, even though I knew that it was going to be SNK, and then so I kind of went into it like I thought, are they going to do another fighter? It's just weird that the Ultimate Fighting crossover game is actually about to become the Ultimate Fighting crossover game among fighters. Because Terry versus Ken, Terry versus Ryu, you know what I mean? Who else are we missing? Do we need a virtual fighter in there at this point? Like, and where's Scorpion? It's like, it's just weird to see this game that the elitists look down at Smash Brothers as a fighting game because it's a little too easy to pick up. So it's just weird that it's gonna become it. It's becoming what it is, or it is what it is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right, right, and
It's interesting how it's coming about.
Yeah, for sure.
The characters they're picking now. Now, I had read something about his whole thing with getting into fighting games and stuff was SNK and the King of Fighters series. So I feel that's more the reason why the character was picked. Because I don't really see him as, like, if you look at all the characters they put in there so far have been characters that have some connection to Nintendo and have history with it.
right,
Even if they're not specifically Nintendo, like Solid Snake
or Cloud.
and Cloud. I could see that with the whole thing with the 64,
Right.
and then the whole thing with they switched over from being Nintendo.
That's actually why it feels like Cloud still feels like Nintendo in a weird way, because he was right at the cusp of being on a Nintendo property at such an important time. And so when he was revealed, it wasn't like so left field, because Final Fantasy, the universe, is already represented through Nintendo consoles in some capacity.
Yeah.
It's not like you're putting Halo. If you put Master Chief, that's a jump. That's like,
Yeah.
it has never existed on Nintendo platforms at all. Banjo-Kazooie,
and it has
not
no
weird.
real history. It's not even a competitor.
Right, and Banjo-Kazooie is not weird because he was on Nintendo, and with the recent rubbing of shoulders of Nintendo and Microsoft, it just made sense. It was perfect. It was the perfect storm. But Master Chief still seems like a big jump. I know it's crazy to say when you have Cloud and whatever, but it's just, that's going to be a harder pill to swallow, I think.
What about Steve? Would Steve be how big would that pill be?
Not at all. That's probably like direct injection if you're talking about medicinal properties or whatever. But
I still don't
just
see
snort
Steve.
him. Just snort, Steve.
I think Steve would be a great addition. I know it may seem blasphemous for some people, but think of how big Minecraft is in Japan. It's huge. I
It
mean,
is weird that it's so huge and Microsoft is so small.
it's
in
so
Japan.
big that it even influenced Square Enix to make what you would call an influence, like a copycat influence.
Oh yeah, Dragon Quest.
Builders. I mean,
Which
that
is a
game
really
wouldn't
good series,
exist
too.
It wouldn't exist if Minecraft wasn't a thing, you know?
That's true.
And it's so popular. So I think that Minecraft Steve would have some. I mean, dude, if Undertale got in some capacity, Minecraft, I would say at this point, has a rite of passage. Because Sans, the whole Sans imagery was a meme for a long time, and he's a me gunner skin. So.
Yeah. That is kind of weird that they went there with him, and the Undertale crowd is just like ecstatic that they got a skin in Smash Brothers, but the Geno crowd is still not happy. But I'll tell you what.
I mean, he's been saying he wants to put Geno in, so I could see it happening.
Yeah,
us Waluigi, we don't even have a skin though. We don't have the big nose skin. You know, just give us the face of Waluigi. I wonder why he wants Geno in. Geno's like, you're a Geno fan, William. Why do you want Geno in? What makes Geno deserve his place?
A very interesting character in a game that's beloved by a lot of people. He's pretty much exclusive to that one game. He just picked up a following, people. And it's just a character that people want to see. It's, back when people were talking about wanting the character in, a lot of people said, well, he can't be in because he's owned by Square. They'd mention, well, he's not popular enough. And any excuse they had to say he couldn't be in there.
Right.
And kind of like when people were using the excuses for Ridley. Oh, Ridley's too big. I'm like, he's had so many different sizes over the years.
Right, like Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I was like, people did sell me that Ridley would never get in. I was shocked when Ridley got in, quite honestly. I'm not a huge Metroid fan, so it didn't really affect me that much, but I was like, wow, he did it. I was really surprised. Not to mention, it was one of the most violent entries into the series when he just eviscerates Mega Man, Mario, and who else was it? Did he murder?
Mega Man.
Was it Mega Man, Mario?
Mega Man, Mario, and Samus. Well, you thought Samus, but
yeah, Samus survives. But it was just like he straight up killed him.
I remember watching or reading the message boards back in high school. This was like 12 years ago. In speculation, and I know that the hot contenders for the game, they mentioned King K. Rool and Ridley and Geno. And whenever I heard Geno, I remember disliking that choice just because I didn't know who he was. And now that same logic applies. Now I understand why there is hate online from people that didn't want Terry, for example, because they just didn't know who he was. And it's a very ignorant way to approach something. And maybe it's just my fault.
But I understand.
15. So, but now that I see Geno and his imagery, it's like he would fit in. He'd fit right in, and it'd be very charming in a way. Now my question is, would he be under the Mario lineup?
I think he would.
Yeah.
He would be part of the Mario stuff, but he'd also have his own symbol for it as well.
Well, that was my question. Is his symbol the mushroom?
Oh, and Kirby already has the star,
right?
So can't use the star for him.
I would say he'd have to be under the mushroom, but it would be a weird one still because he's only been, he's had a cameo in one other game, maybe two, but he's pretty much exclusive to Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo.
It would be the silhouette of Axel. That's the sword.
Yeah. Well,
was that the sword's name?
Yeah, I mean, well, think of Yoshi. Yoshi isn't part of the mushroom icon. He's part of his own egg
Yeah.
icon.
Yeah, he's got
So,
an egg.
so it's and maybe that's already because his games have spawned a branch off of the Mario brand.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshi is his own. It's like Yoshi is like Mario Kart, basically. Mario
Right.
Kart is its own entity. It's
Right.
no longer. I mean, it's not even exclusive to Mario anymore. But Yoshi has so many games that he is his own world, basically. So I understand, you know. Is there anyone else like that? I can't think of anyone else who's had a character spin off as great and as successful as Mario.
Wario. I mean, I could think of Wario.
Wario
He started
is
off in a Mario game, right?
yes, yep.
And now he has his own W icon and has the WarioWare games and the Wario Land and Wario World and what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Wario, I don't think he's as successful though as Yoshi, but he is probably the runner-up, which is saying something about the Mario franchise that the only one almost as successful as Yoshi is another Mario character. I bet Tingle, if you're talking, Tingle has 4 games actually, but that's only in Europe and Japan.
That's a good point, yeah.
Only in Europe and Japan because they were like, we're not in America.
No.
But what was I going to say? That brings me to something. Yoshi. I was talking about this last week. David, have you played Yoshi's Crafted World?
I haven't. No.
You like
But
platformers.
I was listening to my first N64 game was that I owned was Yoshi's Story, and I was listening to the soundtrack the other day at work.
Okay. I'm going to challenge you to play that game because I actually started dipping into my back catalog because I didn't want to start something like too grandiose with Link's Awakening and Witcher 3 coming to the Switch.
Right.
So I didn't want to start something too grandiose, so I jumped into my back catalog, and the 2 games I'm playing are Valkyrie Chronicles 4, which is a great game, by the way, and I thought I would play Yoshi's Crafted World because, here's this nice little sweet game. The only thing I've ever heard about it was that it's pretty easy, but it's cute, and so I thought I would play with my 7-year-old and probably my 5-year-old, and we would play it, and it would just be easy breezy. And not so much. The game's actually a little harder than I was anticipating, and I need to know if it's me or if it's or I have a funny suspicion that a lot of people who reviewed the game were either like they were a little too, maybe they play games a little like they're professional. You see those professional speed runs of Mario courses and stuff. I'm like, was it these type of people who are reviewing this game? Because this game's not easy. I mean, it's not the hardest game in the world, but it's definitely not the easiest either. I've played a lot harder or a lot easier games than this. And so I want someone to play it and tell me if I suck that bad or if it's really like, I don't know, if these reviews are kind of like fake because I'm beginning to think.
Do you want to know why I think they pumped up the difficulty? It's probably because of Yoshi's Woolly World. How they said that it was so easy, right?
Yeah.
That it was so easy that first of all, you can't get a game over, right? Something like that. And maybe for this one, since it is on a more prominent console and people are going to pick it up, I'm thinking that's probably why. Maybe it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, but and I'm okay with that, but I'm just shocked because everything I ever heard about the game was how easy it was. And there was one level where I literally, as Sid Patel says, get good. I love that. I told somebody that one time. I was just like, just get better. And they're like, oh, they got so mad at me.
That is a very trigger-like statement. I'm not gonna lie. I've been told that before, man, several times. So.
depends on where it's being said, though.
I didn't mean, like, I had no idea that was, like, a saying or anything. And when I was like, you just gotta, like, it was talking about nerfing Smash characters. And I'm like, guys, you don't, it's like week number 2. You don't have to nerf anybody yet. We just gotta get better. And somebody got so mad at me for saying that. I was like, maybe we gotta nerf them, but we can't nerf them at week number 2. I was like, they got so mad at me. Get good.
It's like no one's a Tetris pro at the start.
Yeah, man. I still haven't done Tetris 99. Got the number 1.
No, I haven't either.
I can get number 2 like nobody else. Actually, now that people are like playing that game, I can get number 5 like no one else. But anyways, Yoshi, I was just so surprised, and I think you would really enjoy it being an artsy guy, David. I think you're really missing out.
Okay.
I think Yoshi's...
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably enough to... Because Yoshi's story also has really good imagery. It's got, like, construction paper and cutouts and scissors, and it really plays on the crafty aspect to it. Like, you can see... Like, in several of the levels, you can see that... You know how when you get a package in the mail, it says fragile and it's got the symbol?
Yeah.
You can see that symbol in a lot of his levels, and I've always found that to be a very charming detail.
Dude,
So,
it's like, seriously, charming is probably the word that goes with it. And then you can play it backwards, the stages, and you can then see the tape on like the stuff, and it's just like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think that when it's all said and done, Yoshi's Crafted World is going to be one of those hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch. I know it did well enough, but I actually don't think it did what it should. Like,
okay.
It was just one of those, yeah, really you should try to play it with your aesthetics and your love of platforming.
Okay.
It's going to be one I'm going to have to pick up because I got to play it when I went to PAX East and really enjoyed it.
How long do you think it'll take to beat?
You know what? Some of those people said it was 7 to 8 hours, but I think it's more of a 20-hour game. If you try to complete it, like if you're like the completist, then it's going to take you a long time. That's one of the things that people said. Because I listened to some reviews after I started playing it to see why I was having such a problem on certain levels, and they said if you're trying to complete 100% everything, that it's going to like take you like forever to do it. So to do the main storyline, and granted, I will say this, you know, I am playing with this 7-year-old, so you know, it's not like sometimes a 7-year-old like will hold me back, but honestly, not so much. You know, we all started playing video games at around 7, and this is kind of one of those games that anybody can play, so he's not holding me back too much. So I would say you're gonna get your $20, and if you can buy it for $40, it's definitely worth $40. But I bought it for, well, I think I bought it for $42 because I had the gamer reward thing. But I say it's a $60 game just on the cute factor or the craftiness of it. The what did you call it? Charm. It's such a charming game that I believe that it's vastly underrated. I think it's like a 7.8. I think it's not like, it doesn't deserve a 10 because it's of the gameplay, but it deserves like a 10 because of just how it looks. And I'm not necessarily a graphics or this kind of guy, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, just amazed at, like, I'm like, oh, that's a toilet paper roll. That's a straw with paper clips on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, this is so cool. And I feel like one of those guys that like, I'm just watching season 7 of The Walking Dead, and I'm like, guys, this Negan character, and everybody's like, yeah, guy, we know who you're talking about. Like, we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, That's when I stopped watching.
You're just now getting
when
to
he
that,
showed up.
Ken?
No, I'm not actually. I didn't watch Walking Dead, but I use that as an example because I know all about it. I'm pretty good at being able to piece together storylines by what people say, either online
No, I mean,
through
like, is
commercials.
that where you're at, like the Negan part?
No, I stopped watching Walking Dead way earlier on than that. Although a lot of people said that was too brutal of a scene, and I kind of agree.
It is, man.
Yeah.
First of all, not gonna spoil, but that was my favorite character, and when that happened, I had to go take a shower
Oh
because
yeah.
I had to just decompress from all that stressful episode. But
Who was your favorite character, Glenn or Negan?
Glenn for sure.
Okay, Glenn. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like Negan, just the type of person he is.
Yeah.
And the way he. Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah. And
like when that character showed up, I'm like, I don't like this character.
And from what I hear, they're trying to redeem him and stuff, and I'm just like, you know what? That's just beyond redemption. Beyond.
But the one thing that started bothering me about the show, and I'm sure it's the same as in the comics, that they did deaths the same as, and I'm not gonna spoil any deaths for anybody, but it seemed like the characters I liked died from a non-zombie mean.
I think that's the point of the game of the Walking Dead series at this point at this point.
Right.
Well, like you had minor characters killed off by zombies. Like that was how they would die, is they'd be killed by a zombie. A main character, they'd get killed by some other means altogether, through human hands or.
I want to say I just watched a show. If we're switching the subject to shows, but I want to get to EPS. He just said, I was 4 when I played my first video game. How old were you guys? That's what I'm going to ask you after I talk about this. How old were you guys when you played your first video game, and what was it? William, I think yours was Burger Time, right?
Yep. At 4.
Okay. But have you guys watched it's on Amazon Prime. It's definitely mature, okay? So if you're like, oh, this is not a PG show, please do not mistake it as a PG show. It's all about superheroes. Also, it's called The Boys. Have you guys seen that?
The Boys.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, have not watched it yet.
I saw the Good Boys.
No, it's called The Boys.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about, but now I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's all about superheroes. It's actually the most realistic depiction of if superheroes were existing in the real world.
More than Watchmen?
I would say,
yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Or tied. Because I would say the Watchmen were from the 80s. So if you were to read the comic book The Watchmen, and you could put yourself back in the 80s, then yes, that was like right there. Like in today's culture, no, The Watchmen is no longer relevant because nobody really knows what it like to live with the nuclear threat of the Soviet Union always right
Manhattan
next door.
Project, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But The Boys takes The Watchmen and updates it for today's social media frenzied Instagram world. And it's an amazing. It's 8 episodes long, and guys, I'm telling you, I'm giving it high recommendations. I watched the final episode like a week ago, and I'm still just mulling around the whole plot and everything in my head. So I highly recommend. The Boys is about making money off of superheroes. It's kind of so.
Isn't there really like a cheeky symbolic representation of like a modern day Captain America?
It's probably Captain America and Superman combined. Because there's definitely the guy you're thinking of is he's called Homelander, and he has the powers of Superman. Well, some of them, like flight, heat vision, invulnerability, super strength, super hearing. He can see through walls. The only thing he didn't really do was blow a cold wind out of his mouth. But then he was very patriotic. So Superman is not as patriotic as Captain America. So it was a cross between those two characters. But if I were to say what universe this is based out of, it's definitely more based out of the DC universe, because they have an Aquaman type character, a Wonder Woman type character, a Flash type character, but it's definitely in the realistic vein. It's such a realistic show. It's so good. It's so good. Anybody out there who is 18 or older, please watch this show. And whatever you do, don't watch it with your children. Please do not watch it with your children.
There's an obscure superhero movie from the 90s that I was just talking about last night to a coworker, and that's Mystery Men.
Oh, Mystery
Men. I love
Men.
Mystery Men.
I love it too.
I was talking to one of my coworkers about that, and I was like, yeah, it's just like Mystery Men. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, Mystery Men, it had Ben Stiller, it had Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens.
I didn't know Pee Wee Herman was it. Hey, one second. I want to say Joseph Souther. He liked it too. So there you go. It's Joseph is also backing up my statement of The Boys being just absolutely phenomenal. But the Mystery Men, yes, I remember Mystery Men, but I didn't watch it actually. That's the one with Ben Stiller, correct?
Yeah, it's really good for a watch. It's a
cult classic.
It didn't get very good. Didn't get high ratings. Yeah, it definitely a cult classic.
Right, and I think it deserves a sequel that would be perfect for like Netflix.
Oh yeah, a Netflix sequel would be awesome. So now that I did my plug for The Boys, let's go back to how old were you and what was your first game? If I were to say mine was like Atari type stuff. So like my first Nintendo game would have been Mario, but the first games that I really remember is Q*bert, Spider-Man, which man, if you saw Spider-Man on the Atari and you see Spider-Man on PS4, and then I forget the name. It was some kind of moon game that EPS one time actually said it. And it's pronounced Souther. Okay, Souther. So Joseph Souther, he agreed with me. Thank you for that correction, by the way. I really appreciate it because I butcher names, and I'm sorry. Butcher is the name of one of the characters on The Boys. So full circle there. So my first game was an Atari game, and I would say the first game that I fell in love with would probably be Zelda, which, maybe surprised some people, maybe not others. What about you, David?
It was probably something on like the Sega Master System.
It's a Master System.
Yeah, or like the obviously the SNES, like Super Mario World.
I only knew one person who owned a Master System.
Yeah, because my uncle had a Master System. He played NFL and Jurassic Park and
Jurassic
Sonic.
Park was on the Master System?
Yeah. Remember that picture I showed you guys where I was playing the Master System and you could see Jurassic Park?
I remember you showing the picture. I don't remember that it was Jurassic Park in there. I probably said the same exact thing. Jurassic Park?
It could have been a Genesis. They had both. So I could have just interchanged the fact. But it was something either Nintendo or Sega. Like a Super Mario World or Sonic. Those are very vivid to me. And then obviously, actually, arcade cabinets, if you believe it or not, because, mom or grandma had to go wash clothes at the laundromat. What did they have? King of Fighters, Street Fighter, and my favorite arcade fighting game of all time, which is X-Men versus Street Fighter. So
I used to go to an arcade in the mall, and I would go in I would save up, have a roll of quarters, and feel like I was the king of fighters, dude. This roll, you're 10 years old, 12 years old with a roll of quarters at an arcade. Nothing can stop you. You can continue all day long. I remember I was on a field trip, Skateland. I hated skating, so I was like, I'm not gonna skate, and I was like too cool, you know.
There was a roller skating rink near me, and I would go I think it was Friday night. I missed that place. It's now shut down for, I think, the past 15 years or so.
Dude, what
I miss it.
I played, I played, and I was like, people were chanting my name because somehow I was in the zone that day, and I beat Avengers. It was like Captain America and the Avengers, and the main villain was like the Red Skull. I beat that game, and then when I beat that game, I went right to The Simpsons, and I beat The Simpsons. I literally went from one game to the next. I'm not like the greatest video game player, but that day I was, and people were just astounded that I beat both video games in within like the field trip time frame. So I never had to skate either.
How long did it take to beat that?
I can't remember. I want to say.
Or
how long was your field trip?
The field trip would have probably been half a day. So at most, it would have been. What I probably did was I probably jumped into a game. Somebody
maybe you cheesed it. Maybe there was like if you spam this move, you could run through a couple hard levels or something.
I don't know. I don't think I like.
I always pick Marge because I loved when she used the vacuum cleaner. That was my favorite character was Marge.
You know what? I was Marge actually. I was Marge, and because she had the reach with the vacuum cleaner, and I forget who I was with the Avengers. It was just I just cannot remember who I was. The people, Moon Patrol was one of the three Atari games that I really remember playing a lot. And then
that's the one I mentioned. That's one that's being remade for the Intellivision Amico.
What? That just might have sold me because I'll tell you what.
It's one of the games shown in the latest trailer.
Oh, okay. And the Intellivision Amico is a new generation of old school games. I don't know.
It's revived. They're remaking, they're revising a bunch of old games. They're bringing back franchises. There's going to be games that are exclusive to the system, if not the game itself being exclusive, or just certain elements of the game being exclusive. So there's going to be a new Earthworm Jim on it. Yeah, they are doing a new Burger Time, but they're doing a whole lot of games. There's also supposedly a new Echo the Dolphin being made on it.
Echo the Dolphin. And then my first game, EPS's first game was Combat on Atari, and Joseph's first game was Go Vacation on the Wii. Go Vacation on the Wii. Did it come with the? Did you get the Wiimote that came with it? Go Vacation was. I'm not sure if Go Vacation was the Ubisoft one or if it was the Wii Resorts type one. I'm not sure, but
my little porg is on vacation right now.
Your porg is on vacation.
My porg's on vacation.
Looks like he's going to Mexico. Am I allowed to say that, David? Am I allowed to reference sombreros as Mexican?
He's gonna pick up some fireworks.
I mean, it is true. A sombrero is Mexican. So
yeah, I have no idea anymore what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, except for unless it's me. I can be like, I can make fun of Asians and white people, because I'm 50-50.
I'm cool if we make fun of everyone, South Park style. So.
Right. then
to some extent, knowing that the people know that we're joking around and laughing with them,
right,
and that
right.
they can do the same with us.
Right. Okay, so what else? What else should we talk about? Luigi's Mansion. David and I, we went to E3 this year, and David played Luigi's Mansion. I played it too, but I was not as good as David. And I found the footage, David, of you playing the other day, so I'm going to actually post that on Monday, you playing some Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
It's only like 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes long, but it's
you Dropboxed me that too, so I mean the information is there if need be.
So it's pretty cool though. And you're like, what? You know what? Let's talk about Link's Awakening. We got 7 days away from Link's Awakening. Who's picking it up? Are we picking it up, boys, or is this like a back burner game?
Pick picking it up along with all 4 amiibo coming out that day.
And what are the 4? Snake, Bulbasaur.
Incineroar was one of them, wasn't it?
Maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, and what about you?
Or no, Squirtle.
Squirtle.
And then the Link's Awakening one was out too.
Yeah. That amiibo might be the best looking amiibo because it's based off of something that's not hyper realistic, so they can go completely toy element to it. How about you, David? Is this a day one buy?
That's a day one buy. Astral Chain was a day one buy for me.
How are you liking Astral Chain?
Dude, I love it. I think I'm 8 hours in, 9 hours in, and I'm maybe 30% of the way through the game, I believe. But I played it all in Mexico. I played on the plane. I really got to utilize the Switch's capabilities in this trip, and it just kind of cements the fact that I'm probably going to get a Switch Lite, not at launch, but eventually. There's a cool color, just because just portability. I mean, I only took my Switch and Joy-Cons. I didn't take the dock. I didn't take anything. I just took 3 games: Smash, Fire Emblem, and Astral Chain. I played some Smash. I got Banjo's Spirits. I got his classic mode finished. But then I was like, all right, let's do Astral Chain because it's just kind of like an in and out type of combat. It's quintessential Platinum Games gameplay. I was watching some Metal Gear Rising gameplay with my cousin the other day, and there's just this level of like really actiony kind of like a finish to it. I don't know how to explain it. Just the polish.
Okay.
And it really engages you. I love the game, and I implore people to get the game if they like hack and slash ish kind of games like God of War, I would say.
I have not played Astral Chain yet, so maybe I need to.
It's great. It's a lot of fun, and I'm guessing that if the reason why I take long is because I'm getting I'm doing like side quests and training and whatnot. But if you just do mainline quests, I'm sure this is like a 17-hour game.
You're not a completist, but you do 80% of the game, right?
Yeah. I'm only a completist with Kirby games for some reason. Well, not for some reason. Everybody kind of knows I love Kirby, because I collect everything in Kirby games because it's not too taxing on me. Now, if I did a completionist run on like Bloodborne or like Dark Souls or some grindy game,
or Yoshi's Crafted World,
right? Yoshi's Crafted World, man. So yeah, I'll give it a good 75-80% of my effort. So.
Okay, and we've got Joseph says he wants a Switch Lite for Christmas, but he went and saw that the Go Vacation is from Bandai Namco, and Sid Patel is probably getting his daughter a Switch Lite for Christmas. So that's the Switch Lite seems to be piquing people's interest, and that's out next week with Link's Awakening. So why is Link's Awakening a day one? Have you ever played Link's Awakening?
A long time ago. I never beat it, but I remember playing it on the bus with my friends. I remember the dog and the characters that you see, like Wart and Kirby and other allusions to Nintendo properties.
Let me play devil's advocate here. I'm going to take the stance that it shouldn't be $60. I honestly, they could charge me $80 and I'd buy it.
There's a lot of people saying that though.
So let me take the stance that it's not that I'm one of those complainers. I'm the internet right now. Why is it worth $60 to you? It was $30 in 1994. Why is this now worth $60? They're not really adding anything except for like a dungeon builder, which is like not really, it's not Mario Maker. This dungeon builder is very limited. All right. So that's the only thing I can see that they really added to it. Why should I pay $60 for Link's Awakening, David? Why are you going to do it? Why don't you just buy it on your Game Boy?
Man, a little bit of fanboyism comes out in this situation, not gonna lie. I mean, it just has the Nintendo label slapped on it. I kind of bend over backwards for that situation and basic principle alone. But that was actually my next question is the game substantially long? Like, because $60, I mean, it's running on new hardware with the new engine, new rendering engine. But how is the length of the game? Have they added content like story wise or the length of the game overall? Because
I don't think they've changed anything in it.
right,
You never know. There could be something they're not telling us.
that
From
could be it.
from what I
But
know, now there was Link's Awakening, and then there was Link's Awakening DX, and the DX version had an extra dungeon in it. So let's pretend that this version is going to have that extra dungeon. And then the only other thing that I can think of is they've added 4 bottles. Also, there weren't bottles in the first version of the game. So
bottles
4,
like you cage fairies with bottles.
most likely because
Okay.
historically in the games you caged fairies. So most likely it's going to be that. But yeah, or well, you know what? I don't know if it's 4 empty bottles. I know right now there are 2 empty bottles because you can get bottles in 2 separate places. But typically 4, unless you're talking Breath of the Wild, 4 is the magic number when it comes to bottles.
I think you could also get them from the part that does the whole dungeon maker thing.
Oh yeah,
I think
you're
you can
right.
get them from there too.
So that would make it 3 bottles.
There's also an increased difficulty as well.
Okay, so there's an increased
They
difficulty.
added another difficulty setting to it that the original didn't have.
Okay, so you are basically paying $30 extra for a hard mode. Is that worth it? Did I just talk you out of it?
I'm probably not even playing the hard mode, although it could be interesting.
I probably will play the hard mode only because I want to make the game last as long as possible. That's why I play the hard.
I think it's you take double the damage, and you don't get refills to your hearts.
Yeah, there are no.
The only way you can refill is using the fairies in the bottles.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to do it. Only because I want this. This has to hold me out until Nintendo drops the next Zelda bomb on me, which they did. 2019 had a lot of Zelda bombs, or 2018, the fiscal year had a lot of Zelda bombs. If you really think about it, Cadence of Hyrule, Zelda VR, Link's Awakening, and then Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. For us not getting a new Zelda game, mainline Zelda game, we had a lot of Zelda news. Let's see. Breath of the Wild hard mode was $20. That's true. If you wanted hard mode, unfortunately, I wish hard mode was in the beginning of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I would have just started in hard mode, but I didn't. I'm probably better off that I didn't because I couldn't beat a Lionel in normal mode.
Lionels are hard, man.
Dude, Lionels are definitely they scare the crap out of me. And
I saw someone like, you ever watch those videos, the trick videos from Breath of the Wild, where people are doing crazy things, flipping over
yeah,
walls and like getting a Ganon's castle in like 12 seconds, that kind of thing?
yeah,
There was a YouTuber, Japanese guy, and just ran through a Lionel, just perfect parrying, perfect dodging, and like straight up just finessing this Lionel. And it just got to the point where I was like, all right, man, you're showing off at this point. Like the Lionel is well on its way to death. Why are you like using your snowboard right now? You know what I mean? It just didn't make any sense, but it was cool. And it just tells you that this game, I think it's gonna be kind of like a Team Fortress or a World of Warcraft, where it's just gonna live for a long time because people are gonna find ways to exploit it.
yeah.
I mean, technically, Smash Brothers Melee, the scene right now is because of exploits.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
They've broken the game so much in such a capacity that it's changed the way to look at it competitively. So it's just, I think that the game is going to live for a long time, and it's going to live even longer with Breath of the Wild 2. So
You think it live longer or dies quicker? I mean,
no, it will live longer because there's always going to be that vanilla group, you know.
mm,
They're that vanilla group that's going to stay to what's you know true, what just lasts. I mean, like if you look at if you talk to anyone who's a fan of Destiny, there's a good chunk of people, including myself, that loved the first one before Taken King, before the expansion that made it playable. So, and that just carries on for a lot of different games as well. So I do think it's just going to piggyback off of each other, right? Breath of the Wild 2 is going to bring some level of attention to the franchise, and people are going to be like, I want to play Breath of the Wild 1.
hopefully it's as good. That's a tough act to follow.
It really is. I mean,
Majora's Mask, I know a lot of people nowadays say Majora's Mask is superior to Ocarina of Time, but I call BS because Pillow 85 just said Ocarina of Time, just like I said. It's a hard act to follow, and when Majora's Mask first came out, there weren't people praising Majora's Mask. There was like, what the heck is that? And if Breath of the Wild doesn't follow suit, you're gonna have a lot of people very disappointed.
Yeah, and technically, is this the first Zelda mainline game sequel?
No, Majora's Mask is a mainline game sequel. It's the same kid Link, and then Zelda 2 on the NES is a direct sequel of Zelda 1.
So Majora's Mask could just it could have a Ocarina of 2 label on it, and it would pass as that, because is it the same timeline Link?
It's the same timeline Link of the kid Link.
Now Breath of the Wild 2 is an actual continuation of that same Link we played in Breath of the Wild 1, correct?
Yes. Majora's Mask is very weird. It's almost not a sequel, and yet it is a sequel. For all intents and purposes, it was just like the hero of Ocarina of Time went somewhere else, and now you're dealing with that hero. Gotcha. But and with what it looks like for Breath of the Wild 2, it looks like, okay, the characters at the end of Breath of the Wild 1 are going to now go on the same journey that they were already previous on to kill Ganon. You know what I mean? Ganon's not even mentioned, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. In Zelda 2 on the NES, the fear was they were going to resurrect Ganon. So again, there was some kind of element of a continuation, but because of the limitations of the NES, you couldn't really explore or have that feel that, oh wow, this is the character I fell in love with. Plus, they changed the gameplay style dramatically, which changed everything. And yes, Link's Awakening is actually a direct sequel as well to Link to the Past. It's the same exact Link, but it kind of follows the same trend as Majora's Mask. What happens in Link's Awakening 2 is Link, after he beats Ganon in Link to the Past, he says to himself, you know what, Zelda? If I'm going to really protect Hyrule, I need to go and train. And so Link goes and trains somewhere, and on his way back to Hyrule, that's when the E3 trailer opens up, and he's on a ship, and it's getting bombarded with a hurricane or whatever. So it's the same exact Link as Link to the Past, but it's not really. It's kind of a direct sequel, but it's not really, in that Zelda doesn't even appear.
Kind of like Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, correct?
Yes. I would say Phantom Hourglass is actually, there you go. Phantom Hourglass is a direct sequel of Wind Waker. Phantom Hourglass, or Spirit Tracks, though, takes place many years later. But you think it's the same Link, but it's really not.
Right.
So that's what Spirit Tracks would be. I don't know. It's hard to say which one's a better representation, but I think that that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be more of a direct sequel than any other game. And Link Between Worlds is 60 years after Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. So the timeline is all over the place.
Right.
Like, even some people say the official timeline is wrong.
Well, it is and it isn't, because Nintendo has already changed the official timeline once. So
Again?
So
after the Hyrule Historia?
Yeah, the Hyrule Historia is the Nintendo finally bend the knee to the nerds like me who are like, what's the timeline? And then they created a timeline, put it down on paper, and then a year ago changed it on their website. They just changed it. And I remember I was so mad. I was way madder than I should have been for a grown adult.
I've got 2 copies of the Hyrule Historia. I managed to get the one that was limited to 5,000 pieces.
Oh, that's a pretty hard one to get.
Yeah.
It's a nice brown cover.
End of the day, no matter what timeline you're talking about for Zelda, I'm just glad that I live in the timeline where I get to enjoy Zelda. If that makes sense.
Yes, we live in the best timeline, the one where we get to play. Gosh, I'll tell you what, I wake up in the morning sometimes just thinking about what a time to be alive because of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I didn't think we would hear anything about Breath of the Wild.
That's me with Banjo. I mean, I smile when I think that Banjo is a livable, moving object within the game. You know, it's sharing the stage with Sonic and Snake and Cloud, and it's just crazy, you know.
Oh man, the time flies. We only got about 4 minutes left. If there's a topic, William, that you wanted to really jump on, shout it out.
Not really. I mean, we're working on getting ready for the convention. I've got our buttons.
Look at that! Look at
the convention.
Move over, kids. Buttons. The original logo.
Nice.
Yeah, and Devin's got buttons for the new logo, but he's not on tonight, so he can't show.
Yeah, Devin was feeling ill. He got the night off.
Oh wait, I may have saved one of the pictures. Let me see.
Let's see if we can. And are you liking Banjo and Kazooie as characters, David?
I am. He's not your straightforward character. He seems to be kind of almost like a zoner, like Link, because he has a bomb.
Yeah, that bomb really messed me up on Sunday.
You could poop it out and throw it and deal some damage, or you could use Kazooie as your gun, which is really cool. There we go. So it's and you also have his side B Wonder Wing, which literally trumps any move in the game, even Final Smashes. So it's just crazy. I think the only way you can trump it is I think Luigi's taunt or something. the little 1% kick that he has.
The 1%.
It's not a move that can go over a platform. Like you can't knock yourself off a platform using that move. I like that about that move.
And there's a lot of moves in the game that will shoot you off over the edge, like Jigglypuff's rollout. Yeah, Charizard or Jigglypuff's rollout. Like, if you're not careful, you've lost a stock. Same thing with Little Mac. If you do his side B and you mess up, that's it, dude. He's gone. And Banjo doesn't have that, so that's great.
Okay, so we got two final questions. Where are you buying Link's Awakening? I'm gonna buy it from most likely Best Buy because I still have the gamer rewards. But if I didn't have the gamer's reward, I'd be buying from GameStop. I know GameStop's in the news a lot lately about going out of business and people hate GameStop. I love GameStop. So if you don't have a dog in the race, I would buy it at GameStop. If I were you, you get a free poster there. But at Target, you get free pins. At Best Buy, I just get 20% off.
Ooh.
So what about you, William? Where are you going to buy it?
I was trying to find where I had ordered it.
Okay.
I thought it was was it Amazon? No, it wasn't Amazon. I have it ordered. I just don't know.
Just don't know where. What about you, DJ?
I'm doing Tarjay.
Tarjay, get the free pins. Joseph back from loading the dishwasher. I got to do that myself, Joseph. But we're about to call it quits. But I want to address, this could add a whole hour to the podcast, but I want to address it. Lou Carey Electric, what do you think they'll change? What formula do you think they'll change for Breath of the Wild 2? I don't know if we can really answer that question right now because we're about to call it quits. I'll tell you what, though. You show up next week, we'll really address it. But if I could think of anything, what would they change? I don't know. What would they change? I wonder if we'll get real voice acting for Link. This would be They've kind of ushered it in. If they don't give us Link voice acting, I bet you Ganon has some voice acting in it. I think we're gonna get dungeons as well, and I don't think it's gonna be. The shrines are done. I bet you most of the shrines are done, and I wouldn't mind if you had to do 5 or 6 shrines in order to get a dungeon. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? 5 or 6 shrines, and then it reveals a dungeon, like a tower or something. But, yeah, I don't know. What about you, DJ? Do you got any, quick one formula thing?
As far as...
to change Breath of the Wild, too. Maybe they'll add yogurt. You never know. It's cooking. You can cook.
Better enemy variation.
Better enemy variations. Okay. So, Lucario Electric, we will talk about it next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. We do the podcast, so that's when we're going to really bring that up. So don't let me forget that. Next week, we're going to talk Breath of the Wild 2, some mechanics they might change. I might just do a whole video on it now that I'm thinking about it. It kind of sounds interesting. But guys, it's dangerous to go alone. Please share this channel with a friend. Let's keep it growing. I'm so happy that we had a couple new faces on the chat. Thank you very much for showing up today. And guys, have a great night.